Welcome back to the Coast Watch Football YouTube channel. My name is Lockie, and this is the place where we talk all things A-League men's as well as my team, Central Coast Mariners. And we are here for some round 12 A-League men's predictions. We've had a fantastic round of football last week. You can check out the round 11 review, which came out a few days ago. Fantastic games throughout that weekend, man. And hopefully we get some more epic clashes this weekend. Let's jump straight into it. Kicking off on Saturday night, so no Friday night fixture this week. Saturday night, Western United, Melbourne City meeting for the second time so far this season. You can see there Western United currently sit fourth on the ladder with 4 wins and 3 losses. They did pick up a loss in the last game out against Wellington Phoenix. And Melbourne City have been steadily improving after a relatively lackluster start to the season. Second on the ladder, just behind their rivals Victory with 3 wins, 4 draws and 1 loss. So, of course, these sides met back in December where Western United won 1-0 in that game. And an important note to make, though, heading into this one, is that City will be without those Socceroos, and they have the most number of Socceroos out of all of the other clubs involved in the current Socceroos camp. That's Jamie McLaren, Matt Leckie, Marco Tilio, and Connor Metcalf. So it's going to be interesting to see what Patrick Isnorbo, the City coach, does to replace those guys. You'd imagine the likes of Stefan Kolikovsky will come in, who hasn't gotten too much of a look in terms of starting minutes in the A-League this season. Of course, they still have Andrew in the boot there. And again, more minutes potentially for Italian import, who hasn't really, again, another player who hasn't got too much of a look in the season, Manuel Pacciarelli, potentially to get some game time in this match. Western United have lost their last 2 games after a really impressive start. They were on they had, I think, 4 consecutive 1-0 victories early on in the season there, but they've lost their last 2 against Melbourne Victory, against Wellington Phoenix. And what I wonder now in terms of Western United is that I wonder if they're starting just to unravel a little bit. They were really impressive with their defensive stability. That was the thing that really helped them stand out. And they were one of the top sides in those opening weeks of the A-League competition. And teams were quite critical of John Aloisi's tactics and how defensive they were. And they're not one of the most prolific goal scorers in the competition. They don't score many goals, Western United. We know that, and we've seen that so far. So it's going to be interesting to see. It's going to be important, especially after those 2 losses. They won't want to pick up a third here because they'll start slipping down the ladder, of course, obviously. So big game for Western United here, I reckon. And it's not going to help them, the fact that they will be without the suspended Tomoki Imai, who, in my opinion, Tomoki Imai is maybe one of the most underrated defenders in the league. And that's probably due to the fact that he's playing alongside a player who's been considered one of the best players in the league, and that's Leo Lacroix, who's come in. And the giant of a man, but the partnership that they've created, Lacroix and Imai at the back, has been the reason why they've kept so many clean sheets so far this season. So we imagine Nikolai Topper-Stanley is going to come into the centre of defence to partner Lacroix for this game. And City, again, a good statistic for them here. You can see this last point. City are undefeated in their last 5 A-League men's matches. So City fans were getting a bit restless, I did see, about so many draws, 3-3 to Wanderers, 2-2 to Adelaide. And but they managed to get the win against the Mariners on the weekend, and they looked a lot more impressive in that game. They just outclassed the Central Coast last Sunday. So a chance here for Melbourne City just to continue some good form, and if they do, and I think they will, you can see my score prediction here: 1-0 to Melbourne City. It'll be create some headaches for John Aloisi. You'll have to think, what can he do tactically to make his side a bit more potent in attack. So I'm calling for a 1-0 win for the reigning champions. But let's shuffle on right now to the next game, and it's happening at the exact same time. Brisbane taking on Western Sydney Wanderers. The Wanderers finally back in action. Shout out to all the Wanderers fans who have barely seen their team play any football in the past couple of months. So these teams, they did meet 3 times last year, 1 win for each and 1 draw, so evenly split between across all 3 meetings. But the last time Western Sydney Wanderers defeated Brisbane away, so up there in Queensland, was in the 18-19 season. So it's been a while. It's been a while. Brisbane generally do okay against Wanderers at home. Western Sydney Wanderers have only played 1 game in the last 6 weeks. Now, that's going to be the interesting thing to watch. That 1 game was that epic 3-3 draw with Melbourne City, where they looked a lot more impressive. And for the Western Sydney Wanderers, I want to see them in that game. That 3-3 draw, they played a diamond formation, completely different to what they've been playing earlier. And the likes of, it really allowed for Rodwell and Ugarkovic to flourish. And, Troisi had a great game. Kajiro Ogwa and Dimitri Petratos in those forward positions. If they can play that same system, they could easily get the win here. They were just super impressive. And against a Brisbane Roar side who have just been just quite lackluster. Yes, they did win against Perth Glory last round, but the most recent result was that 3-1 loss at home to Adelaide United. And the concern here, you can see for Brisbane Roar, they have the worst goal-scoring record currently in the competition. They've only scored 4 in the last 7 games. Now, that's worrying for Brisbane Roar. In the last game, in that loss against Adelaide, they didn't play with a recognised striker. No Lascano, no Luka Ivanovic, no Cyrus Demi. They desperately need one of those guys to come back ASAP and bang in the goals because they need it because, as you can see, they're at the top. They're currently sitting bottom of the ladder. Only 1 win so far this season. Wanderers are currently sitting 10th, but of course have plenty of games in hand as well. But my score prediction for this one, I'm going for the 2-1 result for Western Sydney Wanderers. As I mentioned, if they can run that same system, they'll get the better of Brisbane in this game. Brisbane could get the win. Brisbane could get the win if they do get things working together. If those star players up front can come back and score the goals, they could get the win. But Wanderers coming back in action, which is so impressive in that game against Melbourne City a few weeks back. So I reckon they might just snatch the win here in this game. Hey, let's shuffle on to a couple Sunday games, which are going to be really fascinating to watch. And this one is, I think a lot of people will be quite curious to see how it pans out because Sydney FC and Central Coast Mariners are meeting for the 3rd time this season. They, of course, met in the A-League back in round 4 at Central Coast Stadium and then met down at Netstrata Jubilee Stadium for the FFA Cup semi-final. Central Coast Mariners winning both games. So that's important to remember. Now, both teams will be without some Socceroos. It's affecting Sydney FC more than the Mariners. No Andrew Redmayne, the goalkeeper, no Ryan Grant, and Joel King. Now, we saw in the Big Blue on Tuesday night, Sydney FC's most recent game, Heward Bell came into goals, had a fantastic game, made some really crucial saves. The same can't really be said about Connor O'Toole and Harry van der Sar in those fullback positions who were a little bit shaky. We're a bit shaky at times. Connor O'Toole was beaten a couple of occasions by the likes of Ben Falami and Marco Rojas. And for the Mariners, no Kai Rolls, who is fantastic for him to get a Socceroos call up. But it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out because Kai Rolls has arguably been the Mariners' best player this season. He's just stepped up once again. So if Dan Hall is fit and recovered from COVID, we believe he had COVID just last week. That's why he missed out on the City game. If he's fit, he'll be straight back in and partnering Ruan Tongic. And if either of those guys, you might have to mean maybe Lewis Miller comes into the centre of defence if he's fit to play as well. So maybe just a slight concern for the Mariners in a defensive sense there as well. Sydney FC are winless, though, in their last 3 home games. That is the concern for them, and they did pick up that gritty draw in the Big Blue, but they need to win games at home. That's simply the thing for Sydney FC. They've been struggling to hit the target. That's been the main concern for them as well. And, of course, you can see this last point here, and I know a lot of people will be excited for this one, a potential Mariners debut for new signing Jason Cummings, who arrives from Scotland, the striker. I am predicting that he starts off the bench. I think it'll be Maresh and Arenya to start up top as usual. Jason Cummings to make an appearance off the bench. And will he score? Dude, it'd be epic. Hey, look, my prediction for this one, I'm going for a Mariners win. And yes, the Mariners, they did suffer their worst defeat of the season against Melbourne City last time out. Sydney FC haven't been playing at their best, though. Yes, they did restore some pride with an energetic and passionate performance against Melbourne Victory in that 2-2 draw. Which was a crucial result for them to get because had they lost that, it just would have pushed the emotions and the vibe around Sydney FC. It's worrying to see, I think, if you're a Sky Blues fan. So that was an important result, greedy result for them to get. But with the Mariners, looking at the past 2 meetings, Mariners did outplay Sydney FC. They were the better side in both meetings. And there's no reason why they can't do it again here in this one. So I think it will be close. I think Sydney FC will make an effort. And without Kai Rolls, it will be worrying for the Mariners. But I reckon Central Coast will get the 2-1 victory in this one. And let's shuffle on to the last one. We've got Newcastle Jets. Newcastle Jets back in action for the first time since December 19. How about that? Some of these teams, MacArthur as well, haven't played a game in so long, so hopefully they get a game soon. But good to see some teams getting back into action, even if it is my rivals, Newcastle Jets. Of course, taking on Adelaide United. Newcastle, it's a funny one. You can see they currently sit 11th on the ladder, second bottom, with one win, 2 draws, and 2 losses. And it seems funny because it feels like Newcastle Jets have been one of the most impressive sides in the competition. We think back to when they defeated Wellington Phoenix 4-0 with one of the best performances we saw this season, playing some incredible football. That feels like a distant memory, and it's weird to see them so low on the ladder. But of course, so many games in hand now for the Jets. They've only played 5 matches so far this season. But the team who has played the most games is Adelaide United, their opposition. 2 wins, 5 draws, 2 losses. They've been building some good form, Adelaide. They've impressed me lately. Adelaide did win both meetings last season, and they do have a good run of form against the Jets. You can see this is actually an incredible statistic. The Jets haven't defeated Adelaide at home since 2017, which really shocked me. Which really, really shocked me. So Adelaide have a good run. Have a good run of form over there in Newcastle. Of course, as I mentioned, Newcastle's first game since December 19. It's been a long, long time, so it'll be interesting to see how they come back after that long stint off. Adelaide, of course, without Socceroo Craig Goodwin on international duty, and potentially the last game for Reds captain Stefan Mork, who has been strongly linked with a move away to potentially Japan. And this could be the last game for him as well, Stefan Mork. So, Adelaide United, though, bringing in Lachlan Brook, bringing in Hiroshi Ibusuki, these players to step up. And so far, they've been making a bit of an impact. Ibusuki, of course, scoring a goal just a couple of weeks ago against Melbourne City. So, look, this will be a really fascinating one, but I'm backing a 1-1 draw, and I was almost leaning to an Adelaide win, just based on the fact that they've been playing well, they've got some momentum going. Newcastle Jets first game back in a long time, but Jets, we have seen the quality they have. Becca Mikkeldatzi, Daniel Pena, remember how good these guys were earlier on in the season? There's no reason why Jets can't score a goal in this game with the quality that they have on the park. So I'm going for a 1-1 draw. I wouldn't be surprised if it does just lead to an Adelaide win, but I'm going to go for that one. I'm just going to stick for that 1-1 draw for now. But as always, we'd love to get your thoughts on the games coming up this weekend in the comments down below. So drop your predictions, drop your thoughts on these games. Really fascinated to see how some of these play out. So make sure to keep subscribed to the Coastwatch Football YouTube channel for all of the reaction and analysis. And if you have enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button because it does help out a lot. And I'll see you guys in the next one.